Welcome back to Disturbed Reality. The debate over the worth of documenting and sharing videos of horrific incidents of violence is one that has been a topic of conversation ever since the inception of the internet, particularly during the rise of early online shock sites such as Rotten.com and Ogrish in the late 1990s and early 2000s. One subgenre of quote-unquote online gore, which can be argued is in some ways beneficial, would be footage of tragic and horrific accidents. While some argue that such footage can serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of reckless behaviour and potentially deter others from engaging in similar actions, others contend that the dissemination of such graphic content can be exploitative, traumatizing, and ultimately counterproductive. Proponents of sharing accident footage argue that it raises awareness about real-life consequences of dangerous behaviour, such as speeding, distracted driving, or ignoring safety protocols. By showcasing the brutal reality of accidents, these videos may serve as a wake-up call, prompting viewers to re-evaluate their own behaviours and take precautions to avoid similar outcomes. Documented accidents can also be used as evidence to advocate for stricter safety measures, improved infrastructure, or changes in legislation aimed at preventing future tragedies. They can provide concrete examples of the need for action and galvanise public support for initiatives aimed at enhancing safety. Also, in cases where accidents are the result of negligence or criminal behaviour, video evidence can play a crucial role in holding responsible parties accountable and securing justice for victims and their families. On the other hand, there are concerns that the widespread dissemination of graphic accident footage may desensitize viewers to violence and trauma, especially if consumed without context or consideration for the emotional impact. Constant exposure to such content can potentially lead to psychological distress, including PTSD and desensitization to human suffering. While documented videos of horrific accidents can serve as a powerful tool for raising awareness, prompting accountability, and advocating for change, their dissemination must be approached with caution and sensitivity. It's essential to balance the potential benefits of sharing such footage with the need to respect the privacy and well-being of those affected, as well as the potential for harm to viewers who may be traumatized by graphic content. Ultimately, the worth of such videos lies in their ability to contribute meaningfully to efforts aimed at preventing future tragedies while minimizing the risk of further harm. Naturally, the internet is flooded with such footage, which quite frankly is far too easy to find, even on mainstream social media sites such as YouTube. In today's video, we will explore several cases of horrific accidents caught on camera, so buckle up for an uncomfortable journey that truly highlights the fragility of life. But nevertheless, let's get into the topic at hand. Number 1. Car crash face smash. The video in question will without a doubt bring back memories of two cases involving tragic accidents: the infamous diving face split video, as well as the horrific demise of Nikki Katsouris. The clip, quite frankly, has little to no backstory, though it seems to have been released sometime during 2021 and went somewhat viral on social media at the time, as well as being highly viewed on your regular gore sites due to the graphic nature of the video. The video in question was believed to have been filmed somewhere in Africa, though what exact country is unknown, and the clip depicts an aftermath of an utterly horrific car crash. The clip in question is only 30 seconds in length, though it doesn't make it any less distressing. As you play the video, you are met with a sight of utter chaos and the sounds of screams. The clip is shot during daytime on a street, and you see a man in the background of the video who was involved in the crash, and he appears to be groggy, if not unconscious, but he has suffered no real visible wounds, and he is being comforted by two people. Closest to the camera, however, you see what appears to be a relatively young woman, though it's hard to tell due to obvious reasons. She is being comforted by an older woman, who you see visibly grimace and try to hold back the tears as she tries her best to put the younger woman at ease, but quite frankly, due to the circumstances, it's an impossible task. The poor woman's face has been completely and utterly destroyed, essentially from the top of her eyebrows down to the bottom of her chin. There is just nothing left. To make matters worse, she is totally conscious throughout her ordeal, and she intermittently touches her face out of instinct. It's hard to explain, but there is nothing left of her face, and where her nose used to be is a hole which enables you to see into her head. The person filming gets slightly closer to the woman, and she puts her hands together in a praying type motion. You also see that her left eye is totally gone. It appears to be completely ruptured. The right eye is only barely visible when the crash victim lays on her side on the road in the recovery position. There is a horrific scream throughout the clip. It's hard to tell, however, whether it's from the badly injured woman or from an onlooker due to the chaotic nature and background sounds of the video. As the clip plays further, the man with the lesser visible injuries in the background appears to completely pass out. From looking at the female victim, it almost looks as if in the crash, the middle of her face hit the steering wheel, as that is where the worst of the damage is. As she lays on her side, you see just how big the hole in her face is. It starts where her nose used to be and extends to the right side of her upper cheek, and you essentially see in her mouth through the hole. The roadside is also completely covered in blood and chunks of human flesh. Towards the end of the video, you actually see the smashed up car that presumably the pair were driving, and it appears as if somebody crashed into the side of them, hitting the passenger side door head on as they were pulling out of a turning. Presumably, the young woman was sitting in the passenger side as she seemed to bore the brunt of the crash. The video ends as the young woman tries to lay on the road on her side in the recovery position, but as the video is ending, she sits back up and appears to be trying to look around. It's utterly horrific. The video is hard to explain, but those who have seen it in the comments can attest to how bad it is. I would put it on the same level as the diving faceplit video. In fact, that is the first thing that came to my mind upon watching this clip. It's not for the faint of heart, it's extremely graphic, and the sense of sorrow that I felt for the poor victim as she sat there in pain stuck with me a long time after watching the video. Number 2. Need for Speed. The following clip, much like the first, is an aftermath of a horrific car crash. However, it seems that the backstory behind the video is largely misunderstood due to the way it's been dishonestly edited. The video actually contains 3 separate clips, all spliced together to make them look linked. However, all 3 clips seem to be from separate incidents. The video's aim seems to try to point out the dangers of illegal street racing, and while certainly this is a worthy cause, the way it's been edited does potential disservice to the victim who you see in the final of the 3 clips. For all we know, the victim in the final clip had nothing to do with illegal street racing and may not have been at fault during the horrific accident. What we do know is, he or she is not related to the prior 2 clips. Those with a keen eye online noticed the discrepancy between the 3 clips and tried to find out more backstory behind the victim in the video and the circumstances surrounding the horrific injuries. Some pointed out similarities with a car crash case that occurred in 2004 in Indianapolis, the USA. During the incident, 28-year-old Alejandra Martinez drove through a stop sign at an intersection and collided with another car, which resulted in Alejandra losing total control of her vehicle for it to then veer off-road and subsequently crashing through a metal chain-link fence. Alejandra was rushed to hospital and was in critical condition for several days before luckily surviving the accident. The news report details horrific injuries, almost identical to those seen in the video. However, despite the similarity in injuries, I don't think the video relates to this case, as this occurred in 2004, and the footage in the video seems to be of too high a quality to have been recorded during that time. The video itself is 1 minute and 31 seconds in length, and it seems to have originally been uploaded to Snapchat. The first clip in the video is a short one, and is only around 10 seconds long, and it showcases a street race during the nighttime on a highway. 3 cars can be seen speeding down the highway before one proceeds to try to overtake the vehicle in front. However, the driver badly mistimes the maneuver, and instead ends up driving into the central reservation of the road, before the car then violently flips and rolls, and then crashes under the bridge from where the race is being filmed. Upon some basic research online, the first clip was recorded in 2019 and took place in Cape Town, South Africa. The driver of the BMW was seriously injured, though seemed to make a full recovery. The second clip, which is about 40 seconds long, simply shows the aftermath of a car crash. A man films the vehicle, which has been turned upside down while it is on fire. The vehicle was completely totaled, and during filming, the cameraman actually spots the license plate which has detached from the vehicle. The license plate is actually from Kuwait. The final clip, which is around 41 seconds, is absolutely horrific. The video is shot in a hospital as the crash victim lays on a stretcher. Chitter-chatter can be heard in the background, and the doctors seem to be speaking Spanish. More than likely, the video came from Spain or a Spanish-speaking country in Latin America. The injuries are so horrific that they are almost impossible to explain. As you hear the doctors talk, you hear the shock and surprise in their voices. The fact that the victim is still alive, let alone conscious, is insane. The camera is fixated on he or she, and you see the full extent of the damage. During the crash, a metal post was lodged into the victim's head. The post has entered on the right underside of the victim's chin, and it has come out in the middle of the face. The victim can't scream due to the grotesque injury, but you can hear the frantic panting and you audibly hear the panic. You also hear gurgling and bubbling blood. The pole has completely dislocated the victim's jaw, and the right eye has popped completely out the socket. The pole has also partially scalped the victim, and you see the white of the skull. Speaking of the skull, it has also been severely cracked from the bottom right side of the forehead to the hairline, allowing you to essentially see inside the head. Due to the angle to where the post came out, the middle of the face is completely destroyed. There is no nose left. The person filming then records from the right side of the victim's face, essentially giving you a side-on view. It's horrific. You see the structure of the victim's face is completely ruined, and the eye dangles from the socket. Due to the injury, the eye looks completely lifeless with no movement of the pupil. The jaw is also extended out by several inches due to the penetration of the metal pole. The injury is so horrific, I can't even make out whether they are a male or female. Some online seem to think it's a woman, but I think it's a man, though I could be wrong. Quite frankly, I can't tell due to the horrific damage. Much like the previous video covered, this clip is somewhat similar to the infamous diving face split video, though even more so, with the victim laying helplessly in hospital, fully conscious despite the horrific injuries. I'd actually say that this clip is just as bad. It's utterly horrific on every level, and is truly one of the worst aftermath videos of a car crash I've ever seen. Whether the victim survived or not is unknown. Reddit posts seem to indicate that the victim did live, but Reddit is about as trustworthy as a toddler with a permanent marker. So who knows? Number 3. Crushed by a falling tree. The following video is only what I can describe as a tragic act of God, cruel bad luck, and an absolute tragedy. The video was recorded in the Karachay-Cherkess Republic of Russia, a mountainous region with breathtaking views and vast forests. Though, despite the beauty, the video reminds us of the ruthlessness of Mother Nature. The video is recent and was recorded in April of 2024. The video itself was recorded on a dashcam from a car that was parked behind the young family. The video itself is short, very short, at only 17 seconds in length, but in just those few seconds, a once happy family is completely torn apart. As you play the video, you see a car that has parked on the side of a road next to a forest. As mentioned, the footage is taken from a dashcam from a car that is parked from behind. After a couple of seconds, you see 3 people exit the car, a mother, father, and their child. Presumably, they have travelled to the countryside for a hike, to spend quality family time with one another. Almost immediately after exiting the car, the mother is startled and quickly looks into the forest. She notices that a tree is beginning to collapse, and instinctively, she runs, as does the father. The young child follows his mother, though he is trailing behind, and suddenly, the tree collapses and lands directly onto the poor child. The child is crushed and instantly killed. It takes a second for the parents to realise what has happened, before the father quickly runs to where the tree has collapsed. He takes a brief glance at his son, who by this point has perished, and he completely loses it. He can be seen getting on his knees in shock, before running into the road, seemingly attempting to get help from oncoming drivers. He then collapses in the middle of the road on his knees, in absolute shock and devastation. The mother takes one look at her son, before covering her eyes and turning away. In the space of a few seconds, the family went from feelings of adulation, excited at the prospect of spending the day with each other among nature, to absolute heartbreak and destruction. Luckily, there is no sound to the video, but the reactions from the parents after the incident are truly heartbreaking to watch. According to reports, investigators stated that the child, who may have been as young as 5, likely died instantly due to his injuries. Although this is the least graphic video on this list, it is certainly the most depressing and, in my opinion, the hardest to watch. As mentioned, the reactions from the parents really do convey the trauma and devastation of this incident. But anyway, that is the video. I hope you enjoyed it, if you can enjoy this sort of content. As always guys, thank you for the support. If you're new here, if you could hit subscribe. If you want to get in touch, follow me on Twitter, link in the pinned comments. You can drop me a DM if you have any case recommendations. And also my other socials will be in the pinned comment, such as my Twitch. But yeah, thank you guys. And as always, stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next one.